Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our finale review. This is Reacher Season 2, Episode 8, Flyboy. We just got done throwing somebody out of a helicopter, but you know what? We're here. We're here to talk about everything that happened. What was this a disappointing finale? We want your thoughts in the comments about that as we do move forward into this video.
This Matt and Jess Reacher Season 2 review is brought to you by the letter L because both of us are taking a huge L on this whole thing. L.
There you go.
L.
There's
L. L. L.
we're
L.
just doing a parade of L's all over.
Listen, absolutely, because both of us have been saying through the whole season that we thought that somebody on the team was dirty. I thought that it was O'Donnell. He thought that it was Dixon. Guess what? It's nobody. This finale went trucking along exactly as it should, exactly as we expected it to. And to bring back to your, was this disappointing? It wasn't necessarily disappointing for me. There were some disappointing aspects to it, but also it just felt very predictable. Like as we were going along, I was like, okay, and now this is going to happen. Now this is going to happen. If nobody's betraying him, then we can lay out how it's all going to happen.
I will say there was one thing in this episode that was profoundly disappointing to me. There was some other stuff that was really, really fun. Yes, there is the giant L portion of this where I might as well have just come on here and been like, "Hi there, folks, it's Matt Roast the Clown here to honk, pie and face." Like, it was, I don't know what voice that was, by the way. It wasn't a clown. You know what? We're leaving it in. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button because in addition to that being a really great way to support us here at the channel, we have also started our reactions and reviews for True Detective Night Country, which is super immersive, chock full of fun theories. We really hope you guys check that out as well.
Also, stick around to the end of the video. We're going to be talking about Reacher Season 3 and everything that we know about it so far.
Okay, first and foremost, can we do a dramatic round of applause to the helicopter sequence? This is what you wanted this. You called your shot on this like several videos ago that you needed this to happen.
I really wanted to watch Langston get kicked out of that helicopter, and I got exactly that. I mean, that whole sequence with the helicopter was beautiful. But the thing that like really got me, besides him getting kicked out of the helicopter, which was great, was the whole sequence where we had Dixon rolling down that bed and falling out and he's holding her and she's just flapping in the wind. That was wild. Like the action in this did not disappoint. We are talking about some of the things that disappointed us in this finale, but the action was not that. It was not that. Like
No.
It was incredible.
Like, I think the entire production team on Reacher knows that this is probably the primary reason a lot of people are watching is to watch people get punched, thrown out of places, being put in life or death situations, being able to escape. And like from that standpoint, sure, we all probably knew that Reacher was going to be fine at the end of this. Like, you don't have to be a reader of the books to have figured that part of it out, but there's still fun in the idea of, okay, this episode starts, with Reacher seemingly in a spot where he's not going to be able to get away, even if Langston rather smartly figures out that, okay, Neely is still alive. I'm glad they didn't make him out to be some sort of dum-dum that just like went along with that idea forever, but you're still sitting there with that suspense of, okay, how is this going to happen? I think Neely's going to survive, but I'm not 100% on it. So there is a little bit of stakes and tension that is in that moment, especially when like O'Donnell is just getting like completely torn apart by these people because they're not going to get rid of Reacher.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even when Langston was like, well, I can't shoot you, but I can shoot O'Donnell. It's like, okay, well, you shot him in the leg. So you could have shot Reacher in the leg, but that's fine. I mean, Langston doesn't always make a lot of sense, and you can't believe everything he's saying anyways. Like, he lies about everything, but he also, tells the truth about some stuff. And we learned Swan's fate. And when he first brought out that glass jar that had, like, the finger and the eyeball in it, I was like, that could be anybody's. I don't trust you. You lie a lot. And why would you tell them the truth? But he was giving his whole villain speech, and it seems to be true. Swan was never dirty. He was kind of being forced into some stuff, and then they took his eye, they took his finger, and they've been forging a bunch of stuff to, like, frame him. But he's gone.
I will give Reacher some respect for this, and that this is one thing in the finale I did not expect. I thought Swan was either still like completely alive or he was like some sort of full-on mole that was actually betraying Reacher, and Reacher was going to have to deal with sort of the consequences. I did not
Mm.
expect the, oh, here is Swan in a jar, which was really quite jarring, pun intention. Oh, there's an eyeball in here. It was, I mean, Reacher's a pretty crazy show. I shouldn't be surprised that Langston's going to keep body parts in a jar, but I did not at least see that coming, so I guess hats off to you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what the deal with Swan was. I assumed that he was dead with everything with his dog in the apartment or whatever, that, he wasn't just being kept alive because, I mean, Langston likes to kill people. We've watched him all season long killing people. So, I mean, it's not too surprising. And I think it wasn't too surprising to Reacher and the team either.
I will go ahead and say this, as much as we took a massive L over the somebody on Reacher's team right now is going against him thing, like, as a person, I'm glad that wasn't the case. Like,
Me too.
I'm glad that Reacher can leave this season knowing he still has Dixon and Neely and O'Donnell on his side. Because listen, when you are a rogue wanderer like Reacher, you don't exactly have a lot of friends. Also, you had potential to have a friend with Russo. He's dead. Swan is like, a lot of your other friends are just getting killed. So you know what? You need some sort of friend still in this world. I'm glad that none of that happened. The entire action sequence, like you said, in the helicopter, seeing Langston getting yeeted into oblivion, like, all of that was great. And now we must attach the hard hats and talk
Oh.
here about the end of AM, aka one of the greatest letdowns of all time.
It was such a letdown. Listen, they did kind of a crappy job all season with him, if I'm being honest. I mean, he felt like the villain that just never really got started. Like, he was just stuck at the starting line. We get this little tiny bit about him sort of killing along the road, along the way, on his journey. We might get like 2 minutes of screen time with him every single episode to have this not dramatic end to him at all, where he finally shows up to get everything. He talks a little bit and they all just shoot him dead. I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. That just didn't really land. It never really went anywhere to land. I could have done without that whole AM thing. I was just like, just let it be Langston.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I'm guessing they were going for a little bit of humor when AM is doing his whole, oh, I'm just the middleman, and I have a philosophical approach, and he's doing his whole trying to slither his way, his nonsense, and then Reacher shoots him, and then everybody else shoots him. It's like, sure, this could be funny, but you know what? It was really funny the first time I saw this happen on Indiana Jones. It's like, you're not gonna get credit for doing this here. It was mildly funny, but I've seen this before, and it's just, after all of the buildup, I wanted a real showdown. And I know that a part of the problem here is probably just, okay, AM is kind of a one-man operation. Reacher's got a team. Reacher is significantly larger and stronger than AM. You could have still found some sort of creative way to have these two face off. I believe it in every fabric of my being. Even if you threw Reacher into, and you guys may laugh at me, but you know what? I don't care. This is the finale. I'm just going to say it. What if they threw Reacher and his team into some sort of like deadly escape room? What if they're basically in the movie Saw at this point and they have to find a way to get out of that? There's still some way you can throw stakes in here.
No, they just needed to cut AM out of the whole thing. He truly just was a non-starter. He never ended up mattering. And at the end, his death didn't seem to really matter either. And then we end up in this situation where the senator has sent people to help out and they've turned on them as well. And I was kind of like, this whole senator thing could have been out as well. Like, this was also pretty much a non-starter. I think we all kind of figured that was going to turn around at the end. Like, it really felt like this finale outside of the action was just like play by the book, like A, B, C, D, we got Reacher on the bus and let's go.
It just felt really rushed. And it's one of these sort of things where, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, I'm sure, at the end, but like Prime Video is just swimming in money with this show. Like, its viewership is through the roof. And I'm sure it probably costs a good bit of money to throw people out of helicopters. I'm well aware of that. But at the same time, you guys have money to make these episodes either longer or give us more episodes if you're going to have these other storylines in there, because it did just sort of feel like, hey, we're building this finale based on some really awesome action sequences that were awesome, but at the same time, we're just going to assume that nobody is going to care about the story. So we're just going to rush through all of these story points. And guess what? We didn't really care about the story because that's what you guys gave us. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, it always kind of feels like if you're an action movie or you're an action show that the story is secondary. It's always like, we are coming out of this being like, oh wow, that helicopter,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my God. And it was amazing. But the story throughout the season was also really good. If you just kind of sweep out that AM story, the rest of the story was really good and it was really building to something. So I kind of felt like there was going to be a little bit more than like, oh, here's the leftovers of Swan, here's his eyeball and his finger, and now AM is gone. We just wrapped that up in 3 seconds and we wrapped up the senator, and now you guys have $65 million. What are you gonna do with your winnings? It's just kind of like, what is happening?
Yeah,
This show is smarter than that. After watching season 1, I know that this show can have both amazing action and really engaging stories.
Ready for me to take another L? L. Okay, this time my L is for sitting here and saying last week that I thought they were setting up AM for a season 3. And I still, in this moment, believe that that's what they should have done. Because then we would have had a whole foundation to a season 3 villain that could have been very interesting because we had some sort of build-up. But no, we rushed through everything, and it comes at the expense of the story, and it comes at the expense of the characters, where, like, I really love Neely, and obviously I love Reacher. He's funny, he's the quintessential action hero. I like what we saw out of Dixon and O'Donnell. We could have had more with those characters as well, and it's just like, I enjoyed being a part of this little family and seeing them really explore things throughout the season that I did want a little bit more. And sure, like the ending scenes of them all at the diner was nice enough, and Reacher, needing the money to put some in the jukebox, like all of that, it had its charms. I just still am sitting here being like, okay, you guys could have done even more. Like, I'm left wanting more. Maybe that's a good thing, but at the same time, I'm also sitting here knowing that, except for maybe Neely, like, I don't really expect that we're going to see O'Donnell or Dixon in season 3. Like, I could be surprised, but it's just like, I think this season was specifically about this team.
Yeah, because season 1 was really about Reacher on his own, meeting with new people.
Yeah.
Season 2 has really been about his team and wrapping things up with his team. Like, yeah, I think we're going to see Neil again in season 3, but for me, I really liked Dixon and O'Donnell, and I'm really glad that neither of them, were dirty. I'm so happy. Never been happier to take an L in my life. But I don't want to see them in season 3. I want to see Reacher get back to kind of just being on his own. He really is this lone wolf. It was great to see him season 1 on his own. It was good to see him in a group too and see how he works in a group. So let's kind of get back to him being on his own. I don't need it to be every season now that it's Reacher and a whole team. And now he's kind of like, everyone's gone back to their lives. They distributed the money to all these different people. He bought himself a bus pass for a year. He can go anywhere he wants. Where is he going to go next?
This is a big part of the fun with Reacher, not knowing the source material. It's basically asking that question, where is Reacher going to go? What is he going to do? Like, what we know right now about a season 3 is, for starters, there's going to be one. You don't have to worry about this. Like, it's filming. There's a lot of stuff that's being intentionally kind of kept hush-hush about it at the moment. I'm just going to throw something out there, though, and I'm sure the Reacher producers would be very willing to completely change their story in order to meet what I'm throwing out here now.
Absolutely. They're only in the middle of filming.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. Call Chris Hemsworth. You need a equally large, equally strong man for Reacher to fight. I want to see, like a big brawl between like two enormous people in season 3. This is the thing. If you're not going to let me have a full-on fist fight scene between Reacher and Robert Patrick or AM, like, I want some sort of like big titan of a man for him to go face to face with. Like, I want a real imposing big bad. And yes, I'm sure that Chris Hemsworth probably also does not come cheap, but you know what? There are probably other large men actors you can call as well.
Absolutely, there are. Yes. I mean, that would be a lot of fun to see, but it would also be fun to see what I built AM up to be in my mind then happened with somebody different in season 3, which is that he goes up against somebody who's as smart as Reacher, because yeah, Reacher's a big, strong guy and he can punch a hole through a wall, but he's also extremely smart. And if he was up against someone who is also extremely smart, then it can also be a little bit of, the meeting of the minds of, fighting against each other that way.
I'm also just going to say the name Roscoe now because I want to see Roscoe in season 3. I'm glad that she wasn't in season 2, and that's not because I dislike the character.
They did mention her.
Yeah, I just want them to space out like the cameos that we got. Like we got Finley briefly in season 2. That was fun. Get Roscoe in season 3. Give us like a small reminder of that, but then just continue to build out this mythology.
I'm just not sure that we will see her again, because it does kind of feel like, he's a rambling man. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, wherever he ends up, he's got, a woman there, or, Neely will show up at some point. He's figuring his things out. It feels like the people that he's having romances with is, that's where he is. If he wanders back to town, he'll give her a call. If he's wandering somewhere else, he's the wanderer.
I think in the end, the big question Reacher needs to continue to ask itself is just, do we want to be a fun, disposable action show that occasionally has really good song needle drops, Simple Man in this finale, top tier? Or do we want to try to be something more? Do we want to be a fun action thriller that also actually tries to dig deeper into this guy's head and leaves people wondering big questions? I want to see it become more of the latter. And I think in season 1, maybe they did a little bit more of that. It's just, I think season 2 left some stuff on the table. It was fun, but I am going to totally forget about the entirety of the New Age Little Wing story in a week, and I will not be able to recount any of it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that season 1 was so good, and they really did balance like really engaging story and lots of really good action, that the whole thing felt very rich and intertwined. It was one of the first times that I can really recall where I was like, you can have both. You can have amazing action and really smart storytelling that's really engaging. And this season started off like that, but then there was just all these sort of forgotten stories that weren't really going anywhere, and it was just action packed at the end and nothing else. And a lot of these things just didn't pay off.
All right, well, that's what we got here on the Reacher season 2 finale. We got to go to a diner. I got to order a bowl of cereal, which, by the way,
I'll take that milkshake off Neely.
Yeah, no kidding. Quick aside, I didn't know people ordered cereal at a diner until like earlier today. I actually heard that on a podcast. It's the first time I'd ever heard it. It's like, oh, somebody's ordering cereal at a diner now too. Okay, I guess that happens. Let me know in the comments if you order cereal at a diner. But no, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us all season. Also, thank you to our patrons. Be sure to join our Patreon. We have a link in the description below. Live streams about Reacher every week.
Also, if you're looking for more Reacher content and you happen to miss all the rest of our reviews, we'll have a link for our playlist for all our Reacher stuff right here for you.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.